Welcome to Livewire's Fund and Focus series. I'm Hansley, and joining me today is Jonathan Quigley of Cultivate. We're here to talk about the Cultivate Agriculture and Food Technology Fund. Jonathan, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Hans. Nice to be with you.
So, in a nutshell, what is the Cultivate Agriculture and Food Technology Fund, and what is the investment philosophy that underpins it?
So the Agri-Food Technology Fund with Cultivate is a fund that invests in early stage technologies that help support agriculture and the value chain. So we're talking early stage in terms of seed funding through to Series B. I guess the types of technologies that we're investing in relate to genetics, data and connectivity, automation and robotics, circularity, climate adaptability and emissions, these types of areas that can help support either the opportunities that sits within the supply chain or the types of challenges that these technologies are trying to address.
So why should investors have exposure to Australian and global agriculture?
Agriculture is a sector that isn't going away. It's a sector that has a lot of change that's coming ahead in a sense that organisations at the corporate level are getting a much better understanding of what's happening in their value chain, and governments around the world are supporting this change with regulation as well. So there's a distinct opportunity for technology to help support the kind of change that's coming down the pipe, and a fund like ours is sitting at the forefront of those types of technologies.
So I imagine it's quite a specialised nature and quite a specialised asset class, certainly. So how do you actually go about making investments?
We've got a accelerator program that sits within the Cultivate network, and we have 10 companies come through that program each year. And part of that is getting to know the founders, and people is without doubt the most important part of investing in these early stage technologies companies. And so that program allows us to get very close to influence their direction and to get a sense as to how enterprising their approach is from a commercialisation perspective. So that very much builds a part of our pipeline. As part of that selection process, we're identifying and connecting with hundreds of companies around the globe each year. And so again, that assists us in identifying the pipeline. And then from a selection process, we very much have a rigorous due diligence process that enables us to go through specific opportunities as they come through and connect and invest directly with those very few, something like 5 to 6 companies a year that we see as most significant in addressing some of these challenges or opportunities.
So if I think about that selection process specifically, and obviously you talk about just the very few companies that you invest in, can you provide an example of one current investment that represents that pipeline, that selection process that you talk to?
Yeah, so think about antimicrobial resistance. It's not front of mind for most, but we've all heard of golden staph. And that's a superbug that hospitals really struggle with around the globe. And that, according to the World Health Organization, is increasingly problematic, where by 2050 they're assessing something near 10 million deaths per year globally. So part of that challenge is that antibiotics have been used in the production of meat around the world now since the 1950s. And that really has been to try and drive up efficiency gains through converting feed into meat. We've invested in a company out of the United States called Cultivate, and this company is using a postbiotic compound to replace the need for antibiotics, but still get the value gains that we've experienced by the use of antibiotics. So that is enabling an adoption in areas like pig production, chicken production, and into your red meats, enabling the significant efficiency gains, the productivity gains, without contributing to the challenges of antimicrobial resistance. So that's a great example of problem identification, and then a global search for technologies that are going to help address that, and then obviously the pathway from the accelerator through to the fund.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. So I'm actually curious then, with all these things in mind and all of what you've said as well, what is the typical size of an investment, and how many investments are you hoping the fund will eventually hold once it's fully at maturity and it's fully going as well?
Yeah, so those investments that I've spoken to, the total investment size is around $2 million. And the total number of investments in the fund, we're looking to be around that 20 mark through the next 18 months or so.
Okay, excellent. So with that said then, we talked a little bit earlier about why investors should have exposure to the agriculture thematic. But why do you think now is the right time for investors to allocate capital to a strategy like yours?
Well, I think these changes that I mentioned at the beginning around regulation at the governmental level, increasing expectations of the supply chain from corporates, is going to drive a lot of change in the coming 5 to 10 years. And the fact that we sit at the forefront of the early development of these technologies that are going to be required to address this change means for us, we feel very confident that it's an excellent time to be investing in this area due to the nature of how long it takes for these technologies to come to market, but how significant the opportunity sits if it commercialises successfully. So we see it as a catalyst for the change that's required through that agri value chain.
Okay, excellent. So what types of returns are you targeting? And I guess as well, what role does the fund play in an investor's portfolio?
So our experience has been that plus 20% IRR, and certainly that is our expectation for this fund also. And in terms of how where this sits in a structured, balanced type portfolio, it's very much at the venture capital level. It's not investing in real assets. We're investing in early stage venture capital, technology-based solutions with entrepreneurs that are sitting in that seed, Series A, Series B type investment stage.
Yeah, well, all of that is really interesting. Jonathan, thank you for sharing those insights, and thanks for telling us all about the fund.
Brilliant. Thanks, Hans.
And thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed that interview, you can subscribe to the Livewire Markets website and indeed our YouTube channel as well, where you can catch up with more Funds in Focus. Thanks for watching.